envoy of the Eastern Granary. In the land of the Qing dynasty, nestled in the village of Sufeng, lived an old woman named Zhou. With no children and no husband, she lived all alone in a small, crumbling hut. Every day was a struggle. To fill her belly, she had to walk the dusty roads and beg for a few coins or a mouthful of rice. Her heart was heavy with sorrow. One afternoon, as tears streamed down her weathered cheeks, a voice whispered from the shadows of her hut. "You are so pitiful," it said gently. "Let me help you." She spun around, but saw no one. "Don't be afraid," the voice continued. "At the head of your bed, you will find 200 copper coins. Take them to the market. With the coins, the voice promised, she could buy rice and would never have to beg again. She looked, and just as the voice had said, the money was there. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling. The voice replied, "I am the envoy of the Eastern Granary." From that day forward, a little something would always appear in her home. Sometimes it was a scoop of rice, other times a warm bun. The provisions were never much, just enough for a day or two, but they always appeared when she needed them most. She no longer had to beg. Sometimes even a warm, coarse robe would appear. Overjoyed and grateful, old woman Zhou believed the envoy was a deity who had taken pity on her. "O kind spirit," she prayed, "please let me see you, so I may offer my thanks." The voice chuckled softly. "I am no god, but if you truly wish to see me, we can meet in your dreams." That very night, she dreamt of the envoy. In her dream, he appeared as a kind old man with a long white beard that flowed like a river. He smiled at her with gentle eyes. As time went on, a strange thing began to happen. Mrs. Zhou noticed her neighbors complaining. A tool would go missing from one house, a piece of cloth from another. She soon realized the truth. The envoy was stealing from her well-off neighbors to provide for her. The thought troubled her deeply. One day, a suspicious neighbor crept to her hut and peered through a crack in the wall. He saw his own missing shovel leaning in the corner. Furious, he burst in, shouting, "Thief!" Old woman Zhou cowered in fear, but before she could speak, the envoy's voice boomed from the shadows. "I am the one who took it. You have plenty. Why can't you share with the poor?" "If you do not leave her be," the voice warned, "do not blame me for what happens next." Suddenly, tiles and stones began to rain down from the roof, clattering around the terrified neighbor. News of the goblin in Mrs. Zhu's home spread like wildfire. Villagers came from all around, some curious, some afraid. If the visitors were polite, the envoy would speak with them, his voice eloquent and wise. But if they were rude, he would pelt them with tiles until they fled. One evening, a drunken scholar stumbled to her door. "Show yourself, goblin," he slurred, cursing loudly. "I challenge you to a fight." But the envoy remained silent. Later, Mrs. Zhou asked the envoy, "Why were you afraid of him?" The voice replied, "He is a scholar who has studied the writings of the saints. I should avoid him. Besides, he was drunk, and I will not stoop to his level." Hearing this, the scholar grew arrogant. A few days later, he returned, even more belligerent. This time, the envoy struck back, pelting him with a volley of tiles until he ran away, yelping. Worried, the villagers decided to seek help. They sent a message to the renowned exorcist, Master Zhang of Dragon Tiger Mountain. But the journey was long. One day, the envoy began to cry. "This is terrible, old woman," he sobbed. "Master Zhang is gathering his forces to destroy me. I can no longer help you." "You must flee," she urged, but he wept. Master Zhang has cast a net of heaven and earth. I cannot escape, Mrs. Zhou cried with him, her heart breaking. The next day, the suspicious neighbor, now armed with a talisman from Master Zhang, burst into the hut. He ran to the bedroom and slapped the yellow paper charm onto the wall. As Mrs. Zhou rushed to tear it down, there was a loud crash. A giant rat, larger than a cat, fell dead at the head of the bed. She finally understood. The envoy of the Eastern Granary was a rat spirit, and without him she was once again all alone.